Dear Professor Kahhat, it's a big pleasure to welcome you at the Vienna Institute for Resources and Waste. I was visiting the EASY SEM conference the last days, and you were there a keynote speaker giving a very excellent talk about plastics and plastics waste, littering to the ocean in your country. Can you elaborate about the major problems with plastics in your country?
Of course. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Fellner. So in this presentation, we talked about plastics entering into the ocean, mainly having the river as the main pathway. So I think that's the main issue that we have. We do have a long coastline in Peru, and waste, and in this case plastic waste, is entering the ocean and generating a lot of problems related to biodiversity and in the future probably human health too. So that will be for me the most important challenge that we have as a country related to plastic waste.
So is it mainly packaging plastics or all type of plastics which are finally discharged to the ocean?
Yeah, that's a very important question, and I think we sometimes only think about single-use plastics when we think about plastic waste. And the things that I have seen in the ocean or in the beach or the coastline is all type of plastics. Last time we went there and there was a CRT TV. And you can imagine the plastic content there. There's a lot of expanded polystyrene, obviously PET, HDPE, and all the plastics that we use, included in clothes, included in shoes, and all type of products. So the situation is really challenging based on a waste management perspective, because it's not only the straw or the cup that you throw somewhere and ends in the beach, but also the plastic content that is in every product that we use. Also, as I mentioned on this talk, Peru is an important fishing country. The fishing sector is highly important, and everything related to fishing gear, in a way, the abandoned, lost, or discarded fishing gear is an important part of plastic that is generated as an ocean-based source. Okay, and you go everywhere in the coastline, and you will always find these float fans or this fishing gear that is in a way lost most of the times, discarded or abandoned. Yes.
So from a quantitative perspective, what is more important, the land-based littering or the land-based plastics discharge or the sea-based?
That's an extremely important question there. When talking about macroplastics, and when talking about mass, the plastic that is generated in mainland is the most important one. And here you have a lot of answers to this important question due to the fact that Peru is an important, has an important fishing sector. So you will expect a high mass with regards to fishing gear that ends as plastic waste. However, because of this mismanaged waste that we have in the mainland, the percentage of mainland waste, plastic waste, compared to the total, at least to these two, is around 90% or more. Okay, so why I'm saying this? Because even though we are an important country with regards to the fishing sector, and so you may expect in normal conditions that fishing gear that is in a way lost, discarded, and abandoned will be a high share compared to the total, but it's not the case. It's important, but it's not the case.
In the European Union, when we talk about plastics, we talk usually about more recycling of plastics, circular economy of plastics. And I also get the impression that this idea or this model is supposed to be also rolled out for the global south. So my question to you would be, what do you think about that? That circular economy of plastics will solve this problem in Peru? What is your perception?
Yeah, first, I would like to say that when talking about circular economy, the global south is a good example of a lot of positive things. Reuse, for example, and recycling as well. You know, people live from recycling, okay? At least from collection and separation of waste. So we have been doing that for a long time because of a necessity, you know. Obviously, circular economy enters to our countries mainly thinking about recycling and mainly thinking about the facilities that we need to be able to recover this waste and actually recycle this waste. You have a paper on this topic with an important criticism to circular economy, the one I share, I think, and I think that we have a lot of obstacles in this new buzzword, let's say it like that. It brings positive things, but at the same time, even though it brings positive things, when we adopt this concept, we are forgetting about what we are as a country. And the waste picking scavengers are an important actor in this sector. And we are forgetting about them because we want to, in a way, adopt this concept and formalize everything related to circular economy and excluding a main actor that has been playing a very important role historically. Not only in Peru, but in other countries. Mexico is another example, India, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia. So I think there's a lot of things a lot of challenges there. When talking about technology, today, for example, PET is being recycled in the country. Before it was exported, the same happened in other countries. So yes, we could build facilities with better technologies, okay? But I think there's an important opportunity that we are losing because we are not understanding the situation. I think there's a lot of things to do still with collection. And the problem with plastic waste, the problem that I show you with regards to plastic entering the ocean, is an example of the work we need to do with regards to collection. And not only collection, because you may collect, but then goes to an open dump site, or maybe the river site. Even you have a formal collection, it could end in the river site, and then the river, and then the ocean. So there are a lot of things still to do when thinking about an integrated waste management system, okay? And I think this is important to understand because we often forget about this, and there's a lot of pressure, international pressure to start building on circular economy without understanding our roots and our problems.
Okay. Yeah, waste management is definitely a major task to manage or a major challenge to improve in most of those countries. And you mentioned already waste collection is not managed probably in the right way. Which other priorities do you see? I mean, which other processes in waste management or which, where do you see the highest priority for improvement in waste management?
Yeah, I think I'm happy to be in Vienna and happy to see the great example with regards to waste management. You know, I have seen it and read all the papers that TU Vienna has led by yourself and all the team. So with regards to technologies, there are a lot of opportunities, okay? People are talking about landfills today as the main option, well-managed landfills. Few people talk about waste to energy plants, okay? Okay, you can talk about waste to energy and relate that to landfills, but incineration is not something that is being talked in the country. However, we do have other challenges as well, okay? This is, let's say, the end of really the end of life of waste. And there are a lot of opportunities there, but still for example, the linkage between the informal and formal is still something that we need to build on, okay? In a way, sometimes to protect the informal. And when I say informal, we are talking about waste pickers and scavengers that really have a lot of obstacles when they want to formalize, if they want to formalize, okay? And then the opportunities that we have in a lot of resources that are found in waste. I think we need to understand that we have a lot of opportunities with these products. So those are kind of the things that I will prioritize in a future waste management plan, if you will. Yes.
So these are technological issues which need to be improved, but do you think also the mindset of the people in Peru need to change with the perception to waste and resources?
Definitely. I think what the link between formal and informal is actually not a technology problem. So I think that's important. And then how we behave as consumers, yes. How we, in a way, increase our environmental awareness, yes, of course. I typically think those are more difficult, are really difficult to adopt and more challenging, but are clearly important. I think we have a lot of things to do still with regards to separation of waste in our households, okay? I do separate my waste, but I try to separate the waste for waste pickers to pick them up. However, most municipalities are really doing important work with regards to separate collection of recyclable waste. Some examples, we have few examples with regards to organics and how organic waste is being collected. Very few examples. And clearly, there are a lot of things that we can improve with regards to consumer and how consumer can interact with this waste management system. That's totally true.
You said something very nice, that you said you separate the waste according to the demand of the waste pickers. So can you just say which materials they really are interested in your country? That might be very specific.
It's a really important question because I have been learning a lot from this separation I do at home. And clearly PET and bottles are extremely important. They have a market. Glass has a market, but this depends on where you are in the country, because sometimes the distance from the place where you generate waste and the facility that actually recycles glass is long, so there's no profit. Cardboard is also important, but the cardboard that they like is the one that doesn't have any paint or print in there. And the Tetra Pak is also something that you recycle, but it has a lot of volume if you don't properly deal with that. So sometimes they just leave it there. Obviously, everything with regards to metals. Metals are great resource for them, okay? And you can see in the country a lot of places where they buy these materials and you have the prices and everyday prices. With regards to electronics, they always are a nice resource. Mainly printed circuit boards, they have an international market. Plastics that are connected to electronics sometimes are really difficult, okay? And if you talk about CRT glass, extremely difficult to deal with, it's still a big problem. And now that we're switching from analog to digital signal, we'll have an extremely important problem with regards to dealing with CRT glass. And as what happened in Mexico, we have this important transformation that has important advantages. However, nobody is thinking about the waste management of this pile of CRT glass that will soon come into the end of use stream.
So it could be to a certain point also kind of risk to hand over certain types of waste to the informal sector because they just do cherry picking probably, and some hazardous materials are left, or what?
Yes, but so that's why I have a kind of a solution for these problems that happen everywhere. The cherry picking is there. But if you start, let's say, creating a market for the other type of parts or materials to avoid environmental problems, you will solve the problem. So something I learned in Mexico is it's very simple. Open burning of copper cables. So I went to a place that is connected to the king of rubbish in Mexico, in Iztapalapa, Colonia Renovación, and I learned from them that they were buying copper cables without the need of having only the copper that was contained in these copper cables, because they had a machine that was chopping and separating plastics from copper. In other parts of the world, in almost all parts of the world, they like burning cables. And it's not that they like, because they will get more profit if they burn. And why? Sometimes because the formal company prefers the copper and not the cable, right? Makes sense. But as you can see, we are creating the problem, in the formal sector. And then we are not giving an important solution. And in this case, the chopper machine is really cheap, So that's my answer to this question. And I think it will solve more problems than sending a policeman to stop open burning.
Yeah, very, very good point. And I think really the cooperation, working together between the formal and the informal sector is a very, very important point. Yeah, thank you very much for your interview and your thoughts about waste management in Peru. Yeah, and hope to see you soon again in Vienna.
Thank you very much.